Hello. Welcome to the Shadow Post 47 YouTube channel. Today, we're here with a video about Operation KAHAL, Mossad's silent war in Sudan.
Part 1, The Infiltration. The air over Khartoum was heavy with dust and heat in late 2011. Beneath the crumbling facades of the Sudanese capital, a quiet transformation was taking place. A shadow war had begun, one that wouldn't make headlines, but would shake the region's covert balance for years. In Tel Aviv, the signals had been building for months. Intelligence reports from Shin Bet, and satellite reconnaissance from Unit 9900 showed a disturbing pattern: Iranian cargo planes landing in Port Sudan under heavy security, convoys moving eastward under cover of night toward the Egyptian border, and the construction of a hardened compound outside Khartoum with underground facilities. The Mossad's Internal War Council had a code name for what was forming: KAHAL, an acronym for Ksherim Hafakim al-Iran, meaning deep links to Iran. It was a covert weapons pipeline, using Sudan as a key staging ground for funneling advanced weaponry, missiles, drone parts, and guidance systems, from Tehran to Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. The risk was too high to ignore. By early 2012, Operation KAHAL was approved at the highest level. The Prime Minister's orders were clear: no footprint, no escalation, no errors. The war must remain invisible. Phase 1 began with insertion. Not with boots on the ground, but with identities. Mossad's Cordon unit, specializing in assassination and disruption, worked in tandem with Mossad, its special operations arm, to establish cover identities across East Africa. Operatives posed as Turkish telecom executives, European aid workers, and Egyptian security consultants. Each identity was layered with backstopped documents, social media trails, and occasional real-world activity, like aid deliveries and tech demonstrations. One of them was David Levi, a former Israeli Navy officer fluent in Arabic and Farsi. His cover, a Lebanese-British investor scouting industrial land in Sudan. Another, Yael Oron, posed as a South African human rights consultant. In reality, she was one of Mossad's top surveillance experts. The first goal: mapping the Iranian network. Using wireless sniffers disguised as power banks, they intercepted encrypted military radio traffic around Khartoum. Drones the size of pigeons were flown from rooftops to gather infrared signatures from suspected warehouses. Contacts were made, discreetly, with dissident Sudanese army officers unhappy with Tehran's growing influence. Each night, encrypted bursts were sent to a Mossad station in Nairobi, bouncing from there to the Herzliya command center. The first break came in May 2012. Yael, monitoring a logistics hub near Omdurman, noticed an unusual weekly pattern. Iranian trucks would arrive from Port Sudan, unload under tight guard, and depart empty. The cargo never appeared again, not on satellite, not in open-source chatter. David traced the route using a combination of bribes and passive, bridge sniffers placed inside roadside power poles. The trail led to a facility known only to locals as Al-Mahari, an underground site built into a granite ridge west of Khartoum. Inside Al-Mahari, Mossad confirmed, Iran was assembling advanced Fajr 5 rockets with extended range. The components, shipped in pieces to avoid detection, were being tested for future use by proxy groups. The factory had a secure comms system, high walls, IR sensors, and around-the-clock Iranian Quds Force advisors. Tel Aviv authorized escalation. The objective: neutralize Al-Mahari without ever claiming responsibility. No missile strikes. No footprints. The weapon of choice was silence. Mossad developed a plan using synthetic
There was no official map in this operation. No bullets were officially fired, but the war emerged from the shadows.
Synthetic biology, an untraceable pathogen designed to mimic an industrial contaminant. Under Yael's direction, a tiny vial of modified bacteria was introduced into the site's coolant filtration system via a janitorial subcontractor bribed with a fabricated family relocation visa. Within a week, several cooling units failed, causing equipment malfunctions. The final rocket test exploded inside the chamber, killing 3 engineers and halting operations. The incident was blamed on local corruption and faulty Iranian engineering. Tehran sent a team to investigate. Mossad was already 3 steps ahead. By August 2012, Sudan's intelligence bureau reported strange aerial sightings, unmanned drones flying too high to be local. One of them, a stealth-modified Hermes 450, captured infrared footage of an underground rail shipment from Al-Mahari to the outskirts of Kasalar. Inside the shipment, anti-ship missiles and long-range UAV kits. The target shifted. The weapons had to be intercepted before reaching Hamas or Hezbollah. But Mossad would not act alone. At this point, Unit 8200, Israel's 2nd Division, intercepted a burst communication between Khartoum and Tehran referencing Opal Corridor, a temporary smuggling window through the Nubian desert using Bedouin tribes for escort. The timeline, 9 days. Kadon assembled a local team, mercenaries from Chad and Eritrean defectors. They had no idea who employed them. Only one of the handlers, Levi, coordinated the hit. 2 nights later, a desert ambush lit up the black horizon. Under cover of a sandstorm, the convoy was destroyed. No survivors. No weapons recovered. Just smoldering remains. The next day, Al Jazeera reported it as tribal violence. Tehran knew better. They suspected Israeli involvement, but they had no proof. And Mossad was already preparing for Phase 2. Part 2, Collapse and Containment. By late 2012, Tehran had begun reinforcing its assets in Sudan. The loss of the Al-Mahari test site and the destruction of the Kasalar convoy had drawn the attention of the IRGC's External Operations Branch. Quds Force Commander Esmail Kani ordered a direct response. A specialized counterintelligence unit was dispatched to Khartoum under commercial cover, engineers, construction consultants, and religious advisors on paper.
On the streets of Khartoum, every glance could be a threat, and every silence, the sound of a hidden war.
But in truth, surveillance and internal security. Mossad anticipated the move. They had embedded listening nodes, small, passive audio relays hidden inside air conditioning units and elevator shafts, throughout key buildings in Khartoum. As the new Iranian cell began interrogating local operatives and re-securing their routes, all voice traffic was quietly relayed back to the Israeli station in Nairobi, where AI-assisted decryption and voice-print identification exposed their entire order of battle. Then came the leak. A Sudanese army colonel, codenamed Karim, initiated contact with the Mossad via an intermediary in Addis Ababa. His price, immunity and asylum. His value, internal blueprints of Sudan's collaboration with Iran, military storage sites, shipment calendars, and internal memos detailing the next phase of Iranian expansion. Iran planned to construct a hardened drone hangar just south of Shendi, shielded by radar-blocking paint and buried beneath a decommissioned airfield. Inside, they would house Shahed 129s, capable of flying across the Red Sea into Saudi Arabia or northern Ethiopia. With proper relay stations, they could reach as far as Eilat. For Mossad, this was unacceptable.
When the dust of battle settled, no flag was raised. But Mossad had sent a clear message. Even in the farthest corner, we will find you.
In January 2013, under deep fog cover, an Israeli Dolphin-class submarine surfaced in the Red Sea. From its launch tubes, it released a customized reconnaissance drone equipped with synthetic aperture radar and real-time encrypted uplink. The drone flew over the Shendi site and confirmed the construction, a half-buried hangar, freshly poured reinforced concrete, and infrared signatures indicating Iranian personnel on site. 3 days later, Operation Silence Wall commenced. At 3:27 a.m. local time, 4 Israeli F-15s scrambled from a base in southern Israel, refueled midair over the Red Sea, and approached Sudanese airspace under EMCON, emissions control. They flew low, hugging the terrain, guided by satellite feed and UAV laser designators already positioned nearby. With precision bunker-busting ordnance, they dropped GBU-28s on the Shendi complex. The detonation was surgical. No civilian casualties. Zero radar detection. Only a crater remained. Sudanese state media reported an accidental explosion due to faulty munitions. Iran remained silent. It had no interest in admitting its operations in a sovereign African country had been compromised, again. But the strikes escalated the war. Tehran responded not with bombs, but with proxies. It began arming small Islamist cells in Khartoum loyal to hardline clerics, hoping to flush out Israeli assets by triggering internal instability. Over the course of 3 months, these cells conducted 5 assassinations of suspected foreign agents. 2 of them were actually Mossad's civilian informants. It was a message, "We know you're here." Mossad retaliated silently. Operation KAHAL entered Phase 4, extraction and collapse. Rather than continue risking agents, the Mossad shifted focus to implosion, turning Iran's own infrastructure against itself. Using forged Iranian orders and duplicated encryption keys, acquired from a stolen laptop in a downtown Khartoum hotel, Mossad operatives fed disinformation into the Iranian chain of command. One such message ordered the dismantling of a secure radio relay station near Gdef, believing it was compromised. Another claimed an IRGC colonel was working with the Saudis. The mistrust spread. Arrests followed. Tehran began quietly withdrawing some of its personnel to avoid exposure. Logistics faltered. Sudanese allies, now frightened by Israeli reach, began severing ties out of self-preservation. By mid-2014, the weapons flow through Sudan had decreased by over 80%. Yet Mossad wasn't finished. In the final months of the operation, attention turned to a single man, General Yusuf Abu Taleb, the Sudanese logistics chief overseeing cooperation with the IRGC. Under his watch, dozens of shipments had passed through, including Fajr rockets later used in Gaza. Eliminating him would send a final message. But this would not be an overt assassination. It would be dismantlement by life. A psychological.
The KAHAL operation ended in silence, but its message still echoes in the ears of the world.
Campaign was launched. Over 6 weeks, Taleb began receiving anonymous letters claiming Iranian betrayal, photographs of his own movements, fake financial records implicating him in corruption. His brother was arrested under unclear charges. His driver disappeared. His passport was mysteriously flagged during a flight to Cairo. The general, once confident, grew paranoid. He fired most of his staff. He moved to a rural compound near Sennar. And then, on a humid August night in 2014, his house exploded in what Sudanese officials labeled a gas leak. No remains were recovered. The case was never investigated. and in Tel Aviv, Operation KAHAL was formally closed. In total, the Mossad's campaign lasted over 3 years, spanned 6 countries, involved 0 public disclosures, and resulted in the neutralization of 4 weapons corridors, 2 Iranian drone facilities, and 1 geopolitical message: you cannot build weapons in the dark. Because we are already there. And when the war ended, there was no declaration. No credits. No medals. Only silence. But in that silence, a message echoed: in Tehran, in Gaza, and in the shifting sands of Sudan, the invisible war had been won.